Hello, my name is Ryan Beam, and I'm a student at the University of Kentucky studying economics and data science. In this series, I explore how data is applied in real-world settings and how the field continues to evolve. Today, I'm joined by Ankita Ghosh, a senior data scientist at eBay. Thank you so much for meeting with me today.
Yeah, hey Ryan. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited to jump in. Just to get started, I kind of wanted to hear a little bit more about your path into where you are now at data science at eBay, because I know you've gone through various roles like Mu Sigma and then working at Adobe and things like that. So I was just curious if you could kind of walk me through your path and maybe some of the major inflection points along the way.
Sure, sure. Happy to do that. Um, yeah, I think so. My first journey, my career actually started with a company called Mu Sigma. So after my graduation, that I was a campus recruit. So Mu Sigma visited our campus, and then that at that point in time, I think in 2017. Data science was just pretty much getting introduced to India, like at least in colleges, I would say, because people who were already working in analytics and data science industry, they knew about it after graduation. But in college, that times no subject, no curriculum was actually based around data science. It was not so popular. Even YouTube was not so popular, so uh, we were not watching these tutorials as frequently as we do these days. So, but then when I got to know about it. I was a computer science student, but then statistics and mathematics always were more close to me. And when I got to know that there's a company who actually asks you questions around probability, statistics, some aptitudes, basically your natural aptitude related questions. So that really attracted me, and the kind of questions, to be honest, that were asked in campus was very different for music. It was not the general questions that we get, like coding questions, let's say, or aptitude questions. It was not that. It was very different, very behavioral, like kind of socio-economical questions, which was really new to all of us at that point in time as fresh college graduates. But then, after that, after I got selected, I got introduced to the training program in Mu Sigma, which was really good. And I was there for around 1.5 years. It was a service-based company. So I worked with two clients there, and then I changed path. I went into Synchrony, which is a big US bank already. And at that point in time, I a little bit actually got introduced to A/B testing, not at a full-fledged scale, but a little bit I got to know from here and there. This is called test, this is called control, etc., etc. And that time also, I think I had less than 3 years of experience, so I was again just getting started into the industry. I was learning the technicalities rather than the business, and then when I shifted my role and joined Adobe, that was all business. I got properly introduced to A/B testing there. I worked on two different products. I was given the responsibility to handle two products together. I used to handle Adobe Students bundle, as well as I used to handle Adobe B2B bundle, that is a business to business bundle. So that was quite a heavy role. But yeah, that was really good. That was kind of an inflection point, I would say, in my career, where I got introduced to business at a large scale, as well as understanding how to use the technicalities that I have learned so far, how to use those, how to kind of mingle both of these together. And then after that, again, I came back to Synchrony, because Synchrony was kind of like home. I would still say the one of the best places that I have been with. And there also I worked heavily on, Synchrony.com, the marketplace. I got introduced to marketplace, and then I used to take care of overall A/B testing and testing experimentation in Synchrony.com, which was a heavy duty once again. But then after that, I currently am in eBay, and I work as a senior data scientist here, and we work in the product side and test around different kinds of products. Here, the role is a lot towards, AI and development of AI, and then creating pipelines, understanding, how can we make more sustainable AI products that is usable, as well as we are not wasting resources, because AI means we have to take a lot of look on the resource usage as well. as well as we need to make it user friendly. We need to make it as easy to use as possible. So yeah, all these responsibilities, it's quite, again, quite a heavy responsibility, but yeah, I'm really enjoying. I've really enjoyed, I think, my career throughout. It has been different. It has taken different turns, but I think I've enjoyed all the turns. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, and that's a really cool journey. And I have always found it interesting, as a student, where sometimes, I might get the impression that a career path is super linear, that where you're going to go at each step, and time again, through your story there, it's kind of clear that those things aren't always linear. You don't know what the next steps are, but it's exciting nonetheless. So really appreciated you kind of sharing your perspective, and there's a lot I'm excited to dig in. And so you mentioned A/B testing there. And so I know this is kind of something that you have a lot of experience with. And then even on your YouTube channel, which I want to talk about a little later, you speak a lot about it in there. So I have to ask, what's the thing that most people get wrong about A/B testing or experimentation, or even just something that you think is really interesting that a lot of people miss?
Very good question. I think one common issue that I see in A/B testing is that, which I also did. I won't say that I didn't do it. Of course, I also did it. Is that at the starting of my career, when I was just getting introduced to A/B testing, I thought, or any concept for that matter, not only A/B testing, I'll say, we focus more on the technicalities. We
Mm,
always think, the statistical term, this particular data point, this metric, this KPI, this is everything. This is all that we need to care about. The definition needs to be implemented perfectly and whatnot. Business doesn't work like that. Business does not work like that. The first question that that you asked me, and even you told, right? When we are, just getting started, we always think, this is linear. This is very linear. This is what exactly I have read in books, and this is what exactly is going to happen. This does rarely happens. So the same thing with A/B testing is that when we are starting out, we always think, oh, it's more about statistics. It's more about p-value. It's about, t-test, z-test, hypothesis test. It's ANOVA test, different hypothesis test, all that we can mug up. We always do that at the starting, and we think that, okay, we have known everything about A/B testing, and we can implement anything. We do random variables, we do random segregation, all kinds of statistical terms that you can possibly throw out. We try to use that, but it's not about that at all. I think A/B testing is the most crucial step in A/B testing is that understanding what is the problem that we want to solve. And is that problem even worth solving or not? There's a very famous quote that I try to live by every day is that if there is a problem, I will try to define the problem for the first 55 minutes. If I have 1 hour to solve a problem, first I'll define it for the 55 minutes and then I'll use the 5 minutes to solve it. There's a very famous quote by Einstein. And I think that implements or that kind of translates perfectly into this case. If you don't know what you're testing, if you are not aligned on what you're testing, do not do it. Do not do it because we waste a lot of time, money, energy, uh, users, any resource that we have limited. We use a lot of those, and then after end of it, we find out, oh, it was not even worth solving, or this did not move, or something happened. Statistics has barely 5% to do with it. The rest of the 95% is about your problem selection, if it's actually moving the business, if it's aligning with your business, etc. Statistics is a very good directional point of view, yes. But if you ask all the business leaders in the world, do you know all the statistical definitions? Probably 90% of them will just say, what? No, we don't. And yeah, exactly. It's not about technicalities. It's about the problem that you're solving, if it's worth solving or not. Spend hours, spend weeks, only then waste the next month on testing something. That is the rule that you'll get. Like once you become a little more experienced, you'll find out the first step is the step that we should spend the most time on, because otherwise the house that we are building, it can just break down at any moment. So yeah.
That's a really great perspective and piece of advice, and it's one that, like you said, from my perspective, where I'm still in college, everything's kind of still out of a textbook. A lot of these data sets, for example, are really clean, or there's a textbook definition of how to solve it. And as I've gotten into my internship this summer, and on my own with my side business, it becomes more and more like you said, that the things are rarely linear, and things get really messy with data really quick. So I think that's a really great way of thinking about it in terms of making sure to put the problem first and make sure to define it and spend more time on that. And that's something that I definitely have not always done the best job of, but it's something that I'll definitely think about more heavily. Kind of taking your advice.
It
So
comes with experience. See, it always
absolutely.
comes with experience. Do not beat yourself up for something that only time can teach you. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
appreciate
what.
that too. That's good advice in itself. Uh, I do kind of want to pivot now a little bit to your YouTube data kind of platform. So I know on top of your day job, you do the data couple and mentor and do things like that at scale. So I was curious, what led you to start wanting to do that and creating and teaching, and how has that kind of helped your own perspective in working with data?
Very good question. I don't think I've ever told anyone this. I'm not sure actually. But so what happened? It's an interesting story actually. So I never thought that I would start a YouTube channel, I would start education and all that, even 2 years back. No, I didn't think. But what happened is that I actually got diagnosed with something uh, which which was like out of nowhere for me at this age. So it came out of nowhere, and I was really shocked, to be honest. And some remarks from my doctors were like kind of led me to think that, you know, uh, I might not be able to do all things naturally for a very long time. I might have to, take help. I might not be as independent as I was, or I am right now. So that's what actually led me to use my time to the most, all the capabilities that I have, the most usage that I can do, the 24 hours that I have, that God has given me, I should be using it to the fullest. That's when that particular, thought came, that idea came, that, I still have time, right? I have a lot of time. Why don't I use it for the benefit of myself as well as for others? And that's when I actually started doing YouTube. I didn't know anything about, teaching is something I love, but I never tried teaching as such, at least at this scale, of course. And I didn't know anything about video editing and all that. It's just that I was like, if I have, let's say, I just thought to myself, if I have another 365 days, how would I want to spend it? I want to spend it, doing the things that I love. I love reading, I love teaching. So let's do that. So that's when I started it. And I felt really good, if you know something, why not share it, and everybody will get to know. And I really see there's a scarcity of good resources. There are lots of resources, but good resources are still scarce. So yeah, that's when uh, my idea popped up.
Yeah, I think that's super inspiring. That's definitely an inspiring story, and I think even beyond that, from my own perspective as being one of the people who really benefit from people like you sharing that knowledge, because there's no chance that I can get to the level you're at without somebody like you, passing that knowledge down and that experience down. And I think that's
Yes,
that cycle of experience and learning and teaching, I
of
think
course. Yes.
is very needed. And I think that's really admirable that you're taking that on for sure.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Yes,
So,
absolutely. Even when I was at your age, or even a little lesser than your age, when I was in school, I really, really remember that time, YouTube and all that was not there. And specifically in India, we had not a very good internet system and all that. So our resource scarcity was for real. There was nothing as much that I could actually know, especially like I'm from a government school.
mm,
So it's not very good, I'll be honest with you. So there I always needed a teacher who would not cost me a lot, but I would get the knowledge that I need, actual knowledge that I need. I think once you grow older, you always try to give back to the community. So this is my way of giving back.
Yeah, and I think that's awesome, and I really appreciate you kind of doing that, and I think it's an awesome thing to do, and I'm excited to, hopefully one day be in your shoes and be able to kind of give back
Of
that
course,
same
of course.
experience. So awesome. Now I kind of want to shift back a little bit to your current day to day, and I know you dove into this just a little bit already, but I was just curious if you could kind of flesh it out more and talk about your kind of day to day and what that looks like at being a senior data scientist at eBay in specific. And then also, what separates being a good data scientist from a great one?
Okay, let me start with the first one. Day to day would be like, again, for a senior data scientist, we would get really ambiguous problems. The problems will not be defined for you, and every, let's say, big company, small company, doesn't matter. I think in this, the field is like that, that you will get ambiguous problems. You have to make meaning out of it, and that's why in the first or second question itself, I told you, spend 95% of your time defining the problem, bring clarity, do whatever work you need to do to bring that clarity. And once you have clarity, work will actually take very less time. Work will take maybe 1 week, even if it's a grand scale of things that you're building. But give those first 2 weeks to like make absolutely no stones unturned, right? So try out all the different ways that you can get in, talk to people. Our job is such that we have to spend a lot of time talking to each other, talking to other person. I have to spend time talking to the product managers. I have to spend time talking with the engineers, the developers, the data engineers, etc., etc. Because I'm that bridge, right? I'm data scientist or analytics is the bridge which is connecting business with tech. So I need to know a bit of both. So that's why I need to spend a lot of time talking to people, and I enjoy that. Thankfully, I enjoy talking to people. So that is something that I do. I talk to a lot of people. I get to know their perspective. Whenever I'm stuck in a problem, I try to talk to my leaders, my product managers, all the cross collaborations. And then I define the problem and I again redefine that, if I'm thinking in the correct direction, I get a lot of perspectives, try to make meaning out of it. And once we define the problem, then these days we use a lot of AI, of course, to write codes, and it's very fast. I have to agree, it's absolutely fast. So once you have a clarity, I think bringing the clarity is the job these days. That's why the seniors and staffs are there to make sure that we are not missing any turns. We are not going towards the wrong direction. That's what we are paid for. So that's what we try to do. Take a really ambiguous problem, think again, and it can happen that if even after working on a problem for some time, you might see that one of the slightly cons of this this job is that you might see that this problem could have been solved in an entirely different way because there's no fixed path. It's not like you're creating a website, there's only one way you can do it. There's 1,000 ways that you can solve a problem. And all of that might make sense, but then you have to choose the best one. So that takes time, right? That clarity takes time. So you might have to again start from scratch at the end of second week as well. That might feel a little, what would I say? A little I don't know, overwhelming sometimes. But if you like problem solving, you will actually enjoy that as well. To be honest, sometimes I really really enjoy that. Oh, I was wrong. Okay, let me start again. Sometimes I have seen myself smiling. It might seem I don't know, weird, but that's how it is. So definitely in this field, you have to love problem solving. If you don't do that, then it's a sign, like the name is scientist, right? And scientists are always experimenting with something, and in experiments maybe you will fail 50% of the time, and you have to accept that yeah, I will fail, and that's fine. The next 50% will be revealing, really revealing to me. So yeah, that's what we do. We try to solve really ambiguous problems, but really really great problems. I'm really enjoying. And second thing is, oh yeah, you asked what makes a great data scientist rather than a good data scientist. I think again, great data scientist is something that again comes with time. I won't say that you will be a great data scientist from the starting. If you are, that's a very rare case. So I'm not betting on that. But A good data scientist is someone who's actually trying to learn, who's trying to understand the problem, who is really good technically. They're able to, jump to the problem, give you a direction. They are able to wrangle the data really well, which is absolutely necessary. I uh, cannot stress enough how important that is, being good technically. But the great data scientists are who, let's say, who knows if the problem is worth solving or not. They will first argue. They'll argue for 3 days straight if I want to solve this problem or not. This might seem repetitive at the starting. Okay, why don't we just start solving the problem? Once you have, more than like 10 plus years of experience or so, you'll understand their perspective. Oh, because they knew this from, some 2 years back, they solved a similar problem. So they know that like going in this road once again makes no sense. So they're talking from experience. And experience has a lot of value in these fields. So you will understand that your managers and your senior, at this point, let's say in my age as well, I might say that, okay, why don't we just solve the problem? But my leader is saying, no, wait, don't solve the problem. There's a reason behind it. So know that, try to argue, try to understand, always collaborate. That's why I'm saying that in our field, we have to talk a lot. We have to talk, we have to constantly discuss with each other, prove our point, kind of like lawyers, putting each other's point of view on the table. Not necessarily both are wrong or both are right, but we have to pick the best one. That's what it is. So yeah, a great data scientist is someone who's kind of able to map in the head itself that if we should solve this problem or not. And if we do, what is the best way? There are 1,000 ways, but which is the best way at this point with our resources?
Right. That's a super cool perspective to hear because, like I've said multiple times, the college perspective is only gives you so much. A textbook only gives you so much, and the problems in class, and even the problems outside of that, it doesn't beat that hands-on experience. So I think your perspective is very interesting, and I think that kind of gives me a lot to think about and kind of remember as I continue in my journey. So yeah, I really appreciate that. Now I kind of want to ask you something that you've probably, have been asked a lot and worked with a lot, but it's the thing that's on everybody's mind right now is AI. So I was just kind of curious, what do you think of, how the field is evolving, especially with AI, and where maybe you see things going. I know that's impossible to predict, but I was just curious, kind of your perspective on
Hmm,
AI and data science.
very good question. What I think, I would tell you that because even I am not 100% sure, but at least I can give you some perspective here, is that with AI, a lot of things are going to be automated. Codes and all that will be written mostly by AI. But I think that again, many people are telling that, don't learn coding at all. Or you can just use no code, low code environment and all that. Yes, absolutely. Makes sense. But do not run away from coding because the way I see it, someone who has good enough coding knowledge, someone who has good enough business understanding and good communication skills, they are the ones who are going to rule.
Right.
So the main issue with, let's say, Claude or GPT at this point is that they're able to generate things, yes, but are they able to optimize things? Probably not. They're not able to optimize things as at the scale that I have used. It's good, yes, of course. Prompt makes a lot of difference, and prompt engineering is really, really an important skill these days. I get it. But even then, context window after a point in time it expires. And if you try to always think from a point of view of, I would give you a perspective. Let's say, why are these companies running? Let's say Google already has a product, right? Already has like nth number of products. Microsoft, so many number of products, and all the big companies that you can think of. But still, they're paying all the engineers, all the data scientists, all the product managers, right? So if everything is AI, then what is the need of them? That's because AI is very good at building things from scratch, right? It's like it's a very good at creating a startup base, but is it good enough to run it for 10 years? So that's a very, very interesting thing to think about. I'm very sure that people at Anthropic and OpenAI and everyone is researching about that only. because it's very easy to create something ground up. You can create a hut, but if you want to make a change at a 10-story apartment, that's difficult because you cannot necessarily, let go of the base or just clip off a wall or something. You cannot do that. So your existing systems needs to be very much incorporated with AI, and AI needs to understand that and do not it shouldn't be overcomplicating things. Right now, the way all the codes are getting written, and you ask anyone here, this is my perspective as well, and I pretty much I'm sure that all the seniors are feeling the same way, that the codes that are written that are really complicated, and people who are not learning, like let's say students who are at your age, or the very recent graduates who have just started at the company, if the habit becomes such that we are completely dependent on writing codes, even basic codes, of course, uh, complex codes will write using AI only. But let's say even before AI, we didn't used to write from scratch. But if you don't know how to code, or if you forget how to code, it can be, or even read code, because you have to read code bases, you have to, that's just part of the job, then it can become really difficult, because it's not very good at understanding context, changing something which is already built. So that's where humans shine. And you need to understand coding, to not run away from coding. Like, that is probably my best advice that I can give you. Learn your fundamentals to its core. I'm not asking you to learn, like, write a 10,000 line code. No. But your SQL, Python, all the basic stuff that you need to know to its core.
Mhm.
Not full-fledged like software developer level. Always try to see and gauge that which is the job that you like. If you want to be a data scientist, a machine learning engineer, or an AI engineer, based on that, there are different levels of coding that you need to know that. Do not say that, oh, AI will do the coding or AI will do the thinking for me. No, three things will come to you when you're like, for everyone, applicable for any job in the world. You need to know your technicals, whatever it might be. You need to know your business, and you need to communicate it. People at the senior most level, they're paid for communication.
Mhm.
The easier it is, there's a saying that if I had more time, I'd write lesser, or if I'll talk lesser. Because if I'm less experienced, I will say the same thing in four sentences. If I'm more experienced, I'll say the same thing in one.
Right.
So yeah, that's the difference.
Yeah, that's super interesting, and that's definitely a perspective that I think is very interesting because once again, I'm I'm in college. I haven't actually been too interested in tech for a long period of time. It's kind of something that I haven't um, decided that I was something I wanted to get into until recently. So I've kind of gotten into it at such an interesting time with AI and how AI is changing everything. So it's interesting to kind of hear the perspective of somebody who's been in tech before that has taken place and has seen that evolution over time. So yeah, I really appreciate that, and that's very good advice and gives me a lot to think about. And as we kind of wrap up, you've given me a lot of great advice already, but I do want to kind of round off and ask, if you're in my shoes, 20 years old, studying data science, econ, and thinking about wanting to get into tech and data oriented roles specifically, what kind of advice would you give?
Specifically, if you're an econ, I would say make your fundamentals even better. Economics is something that has been the backbone of the whole world, which, to be honest, when we were growing up, we didn't know. So, but when I grew up, and the tech boom happened, and then YouTube and social media was all over, basically after COVID, that is the time we got to know that the importance of economics. Specifically in our time, we never knew the importance of it.
Mhm.
Since you are already doing, or people like you similar in your shoes, know your fundamentals. Know your fundamentals. There's no trick or cheat code that is there. Even if it's there, do not implement it. There will be many people who will be, showing you all kinds of cheat codes at your age. Don't follow that. There is no magic trick. It's only practice, only time can teach you something. So you have to give time. There's no other way. Ask anyone. I am absolutely sure about this. That's why I'm telling you. So know your fundamentals, whichever field you are in. Know your fundamentals, your statistics, economics, your mathematics. These has been the backbone for centuries for a reason.
Mhm.
So no matter which AI, anything comes, your physics, whichever field you study, that that has got to be your backbone. Computer science coding will always be there, but for me, let's say statistics, for you, let's say economics,
Mhm.
it, there needs to be a base around it. Do not let go of that.
Yeah.
Always study. Always, I think these days we are absolutely letting go of reading books, but good books are probably the best. I
Mhm.
know it's not possible to read with a full-time job, full-time, education or whatever field you're in. Every day, everyone is doing a kind of a side hustle these days. So I really agree that it's difficult to find time. But if you have even 5 minutes, 10 minutes, reading one page helps, right? So if I have been in your shoes, do not neglect one thing I have done in college, which I absolutely tell everyone not to do, is that if you think that I have to go out with my friends, enjoy and whatever, of course you're in college, that's the time to do it. But if you have 5 minutes, 5 minutes give to your fundamentals every day, because it's not, so we always try to study before exams, before some assignments and all that. Don't do that. Consistency beats intensity. Every day. Try to read 5 minutes, enough. Please enjoy your time. Your 20th year, your 21st year, 22nd year won't come back. Of course, enjoy. I'm never against enjoyment, but give 5 minutes every day. That just creates discipline. I wish somebody had told me this when I was in your age. But nevertheless, since I am in my 30s now, I'm definitely telling everyone, intensity over sorry consistency over intensity, any day,
Yeah.
and do not stick to your fundamentals, whatever it might be. You should be great with your fundamentals.
Yeah, that's awesome advice. Yeah, that's super super great advice, and I'm excited to kind of think about that and reflect on honestly all the advice you've given me throughout this. Watch back, the video and kind of get time to kind of dive into things more deeply and reflect on everything. So yeah, that's really amazing advice, and I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me and kind of share that advice as well.